everybody. Happy Tuesday. Coming to you live here and for the love of dragons. It's Araya. Coming here as your guide with the dragons, the dragon lady, if you haven't met me before. And as I do every week, I get questions. I get great questions from people, or they come up in session or in program. We're midstream on the book club, so there's been a lot of great discussions. And I had one of my comments on my YouTube video, or one of them last week, that I thought, that is a great one to bring in for our live, because it's going to benefit a lot of people. And I know I've discussed it a little bit, but sometimes we don't catch the ones that were months ago, or maybe it was a year or so ago. And so bringing it in again fresh for all those that are new in the group really, really helps. And I'm just going to give everybody a couple minutes here coming on and talk about keeping dragon energies around us, and one of the ways to do that. So the question first off that I'm going to be tackling is, how can I work with or talk with my dragon? So there's a lot of people that are experiencing a dragon in their field, or a dragon on their property, or maybe they experience one when they're out walking, and they want to know, like, I'm not very clairvoyant, I'm not very clairaudient, or any of those things. I want to be able to communicate or get a bigger picture of why they're here. I know they're here, I can feel them, but that's as far as I get. So that's what we're going to tackle here shortly. But I want to talk about holding dragon energy around you and having things in your space that hold energy. And that's one of the things that led me into having even a retail end, because I've been doing just guidance and teaching and programs and sessions and healing work for most of my journey. But I got inspired to start doing some retail stuff of, beautiful dragons that I find, because I can help them hold a high vibe if they don't already. And many of the orgonite dragons and things, you'll find they already hold a specific vibration, but you can actually impact and add to that if you know how to. So one of the things that I do with all the stuff that's available, whether it's the canvases or plushies or the pendants, this is my beautiful labradorite pendant today that holds a special energy for me. Combines the dragon with the labradorite energy and the labradorite dragon itself. But my intention was to have something that you could create or bring into your space that would hold a specific transmission for your own expansion. And so that's one of the things I do with everything that's ordered out of the layer, and that's dragonwithin.com/layer. Anything in there, whether it's the Oracle deck, which if you guys, those that have seen that, I'm going to actually pull a card later. The new Christmas cards, the stuffies, anything that's in there, everything goes out and gets a transmission in it to that person, or to who they're gifting it to. And what that does is it imparts into that physical object an actual energetic vibration that raises the field around you, so that when you have it in your field, and I've got dragon stuff all over my house, because I want to constantly be in that energy. What we surround ourselves with is what we start resonating to. So people have talked about that on our journeys for a long time of, look, you are what you eat, or you're going to become what you read. So if you're reading low vibration material, you're going to stay there. If you're eating low vibration food, you're going to stay there. If you're hanging around people that maybe don't have your best interests at heart, or are not vibrationally matching you anymore, that's going to have an effect. So the same thing is with things around you. Because even though we're in 3D, we can actually amp it up around us and help our journey by being in that field just physically. Even when we're tired, we're not thinking about it, we're not meditating, we're not reading anything special. Just by having the field of vibration in our home raised up, that really helps. So I thought it'd be fun to bring on, because I want to make sure that anyone who does want the Christmas dragon ornaments this year, make sure to get them in time and get them shipped out before any of the deadlines. I have these hanging in my kitchen year round, and I've started Instagram posting some of the different dragons and dragon ornaments, because I actually have them around my house year round. They're stunning, they hold sweetness, they hold playfulness, and when they're in my kitchen, they bring me back into that playful energy, whatever's going on. Like one glimpse of them and I feel myself shift. It's like, just like all the artwork. So if you've ever seen my wall when I show it, I've got, oh my gosh, at least 17 or 18 of the canvas prints of all the different dragons from the deck here on these walls because of that. I come into this room and it's like, it just rocks energetically. So Those are fun, and they can bring, whether it's year-round or just for the holidays, they bring a lot of that playful, cheerful dragon energy in. So I wanted to share this before I dive in while people are checking in and getting on the call or on the live here. So let's go into, besides having our space amped up, when we actually have a dragon present, how do we talk with or communicate with it? Knowing that to answer that, I'm dealing with a range of people who are from very base level, they just had someone tell them they have a dragon around them, but they can't sense anything, to masters that, you know what, I've got these dragons hanging around, I can hear them somewhat, but I want to know, like, a little more direct. The basis is the same. First, it's a heart level communication, so the dragons will always communicate heart to heart. When you start, if you open your heart and you can feel them, invite them to send their energy in. So everything is about intention and heart. So intention from the heart is going to open a space of, I want to communicate with you, show me how. That will go out to them. They are trying to reach you. They wouldn't be in your field if they weren't trying to communicate with you and guide you forward in some way. So when you match your heart intention, they can start putting things in your field that you can pick up. Maybe it's a live that I've done. Maybe it's something that's in my YouTube archives, and they will just lead you on an internet search, and all of a sudden you get there and you're like, oh, they're trying to show me this. That's exactly what I was going through that day, and she's talking about that, and there's that message. But the other piece is they're going to start opening ways. So even if you don't think you can feel energy, that you can't necessarily hear guidance, I would bet that you could sense somehow a yes or a no answer in some way. And you get to tune into what that is. Can I have, I think it was Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist book, you remember the little goat herder? And he held Urim and Thummim or something like that, that he held a rock in each hand. And he let them be his yes and no in his pocket. So if you have two stones, or maybe your right and left shoulder, or a pendulum, or something else, that you can get a yes or a no. You can get like a pendulum, you would say, I want to move it this way for no, or a back and forth, or a circular movement for yes. Whatever works for you, and then go into asking yes or no questions. Because when you initiate the conversation, the dragon's always going to come to meet you. They're always going to be there, and they're trying to get stuff through, but if you can't tell what it is, try and sort it into yes or no. So even if you feel like they're trying to initiate communication with me, then you can say that. Are you trying to initiate communication with me? Yes or no? And set the parameters of, I want you to, maybe you can feel energy or heat or cold. I want you to make my right shoulder feel something or feel cold if it's a yes. I want my left shoulder to be hot if it's a no, or vice versa, whatever your parameter is. And then just sit and feel, and the very subtleness of one of those energies, you'll get just a tinge of it. You might get more of it, even if you don't feel like you have any sensitivities whatsoever. You can get something. A lot of people like a pendulum for that reason, because they feel like they can get a little more accuracy. You just have to be very wary that the rest of your arm and your shoulder is not having any influence on it whatsoever. You can also get a yes-no card. Write yes and no on a piece of paper. Turn them down, flip them, shift them around, you don't know. I have a deck that actually has some yes-no cards in it. There's like 3 yes and 3 no amongst all the other cards. So I pull those out sometimes and have used them where I just like shuffle, and then I lay them all out, so they're totally random, and feel which one's talking to me, which one is the answer to my question. So there's a lot of different ways you can create a yes or no, but that's the base level energetic to start that communication, and then allow it to go further. Do you want to tell me your name? Do you want to show me what lineage you're from? And then you just go, does your name start with? Or if you're hearing it, I can hear, and usually with sound, people that are getting some level of sound, I let the syllables play off my mouth in the beginning. I let anything come out and it starts to roll into something or repeat itself, and then it adds something else, and you'll feel it develop into what sounds like a name or a mantra. That can be a great way to get something, and maybe you get, it's Miryashne, Okay, that's a weird name, Mariashne. And then you can say yes or no. Is Mariashne the name you're trying to get to me? And you'll get a yes or no. And you might, if you're getting both, it might be like, oh, you're really close. Keep trying. So it's about narrowing down. Those of you that already have higher levels of communication, then it really just holds into the heart intention and staying with that to invite them in or allow them to lead you somewhere where there's something they want to show you, there's something they want to communicate with you as far as maybe a set of energetics or a ceremony of some kind or a ritual of some kind or a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a sequence of something they'd like you to do that will help you open. So if you are more prone to already getting energy, those are the kinds of things that can come, and just be open, go into a meditation, open the heart and say, all right, show me how you want to communicate with me. And then they might bang something so you know it's audible, or they might give you kinetic where you're feeling hot and cold, or you might just start hearing words. I'm automatically, because I'm claircognizant and clairvoyant, I get picture or video, like video screen playing out in front of me, or words, or both simultaneously. But that's because I already know how to communicate. But if maybe you communicate with angels and dragons are new to your field, how do I communicate with these dragons? Well, it's in a similar way. It starts with a heart expansion out, an intention from the heart to come in proximity to them, to be able to comprehend what they're trying to share with you, and that you want to start that relationship. And once the heart intention is there, yes, you caught me live again, Denise, fabulous. And hello to all the others that just jumped on. Just allowing it to develop its own life from there, because energy is how they communicate. Energy is a living entity, and it will take on a life of its own that you might start to communicate very different from this person and this person and this person. So I can give parameters, but you might have your own individual communication. But if you're developing that, then let it start with a yes, no. So I'm hoping that's helpful. It was Yago that asked that on my YouTube, and I'll make sure that she gets made notified that I've addressed or sort of touched on that question. And if that leads to other questions, because sometimes the answers lead to other questions, don't they? And if there's something else that's popping in for you, then go ahead and either put it in the chat or send it to me as an email or an instant message, so that I can continue with it next week and we'll add on to this discussion. But even in my own expansion with the dragons, they are still, because I'm starting to communicate with different levels of dragons that are much higher octaves, so even the Andarans coming in, they're starting to come in from realms beyond that. So they have subtly different levels of communication. It's just a higher frequency bandwidth that I have to allow myself to move through my body. And it's different, it creates different sensations and things in my body. So that we're constantly upgrading, we're constantly evolving. But that's part of our ascension journey. That's part of our process, is you are continually evolving, no matter where you're at, step 1 or step 10, that you can enhance your communication. If you're really, really struggling, invite them into the room, and then invite one of the elemental dragons. So if you go into the book, dragonwithin.com is where I have the Dragon Within available in 5 different formats, whether it's 3 different styles of ebook or paperback or hardcover, 3 different languages, French, English, and Spanish, and it is being in Dutch right now. We're getting it in Dutch soon. I'm excited about that, and about the lovely Dutch people that felt it was important enough to get out there in Dutch, because there are a lot of dragons out there. Can't wait to do a workshop there one day. In the book, it's a guidebook. It's how to work with them. It's a direct, 100 pages of information of working directly with them. So in order to contact your guide or specific dragon, it might be helpful to start working with other dragons first, or ask them to be an interpreter. Start with the mantra, the stone, the meditation, and the breathing work that I talk about in the book, to get into a recognition of what dragon energy feels like more directly, how to actually breathe with it, how to actually come in contact. Because when you say, all right, Earth Dragon, I can work with the Earth Dragon and I feel that connection, but I know I have this other dragon showing up and I'm having a harder time. Could be just because they're a higher vibration. But once you open those doorways, you can ask the Earth Dragon or the Water Dragon or the Air Dragon to help you communicate with this guide that you have more directly. Try that as well. There are so many ways to go about this because all of us are individual. All of us have different frequency bandwidths and ways of interpreting energy or receiving it into our different cognitive centers. So you're going to have your own track, but that will give you some tips or pointers to get there. Let's see what the energy of today is doing. I've been shuffling and shuffling. I'm going to hold for which dragon wants to actually come out with a direct message. And this is another way for beginners. It gets you in touch with a dragon that's stepping forward, but then they can, again, move you into something else. And the dragon that's working with you may use the deck to consistently reach into and grab the same card for you to try and give you an indicator that, maybe there's a crystal dragon working with you and you all week long keep pulling the crystal dragon or parts of its lineage and you can't figure out why. Well, they're trying to tell you that they are a crystal dragon and they're trying to work with you. So that's the deck is another tool to do that, like the guidebook. All right, let's see what our energy is doing today. It's feeling back here in the deck for me. Oh, Pleiadian energy. We have the Tangerine Dragon. Beautiful, beautiful. I love the artwork and the color on this. The Pleiadian dragons are really beautiful octaves of a high vibrancy, like almost neon shades of color. So let's go into the Tangerine Dragon and read the full expression of the Tangerine Dragon. So this is going to speak to everybody now who's present. Hello, everybody, again. And yes, Denise, I'm glad you love the deck. A lot of people, I'm getting so much feedback from it. It's powerful and it's on the money, and I love that everybody's benefiting from it. That's the whole reason that I create things. So I'm excited for that to be out there and for all the dragons that are working with you guys directly that way now. So the Tangerine Dragon is resilience. Knowing, unshakable, resilient. What is it that makes a dragon never give up? They can stand vigil for eons because their hearts were built for the task. They also carry within them a direct link to the great central sun and Mother, Father, God. They have no doubts. They have no fears. They have no worries. Because they have absolute knowing, which is the inverse of no fears and worries, right? They have absolute knowing, which is 100% trust of God's grace and the perfection of creation. They will stand vigil because they volunteered to do so, until all beings within this plane rise into that knowing for themselves. The Tangerine Dragon of the Pleiades holds this extremely high octave of true power. Power is never about dominion over or might. It is within pure absolute knowing. Some call this faith, but it is beyond faith. This inner certainty, and nothing can shake it. This is what makes them so majestic, so mighty. To many, that is terrifying to behold. The Tangerine Dragon is holding space for you to really look at your doubts, fears, and parts of yourself that quake and fall at the slightest tremors in your world. It is time to move beyond faith and into knowing. But your first step may be to actually find some faith. That's a powerful message, and that's hitting me square because we've been talking a lot in the last 10 days with my classes, my programs, my Dragon Hearts, about the ability to move forward into our ascension journey. That when we want to merge with our light body, and this is a little key that is going to drop in here because I'm feeling very deeply to share it. It's been made very clear to me that our light body cannot merge in completely if we have a single ounce of residue of fear or worry in our field. That we have to move into complete trust and knowing. So the Tangerine Dragon showing up today to be in this conversation. The whole conversation today is, how do I communicate with my dragon? How do I talk to them? Move into that inner knowing. Move into the recognition of, I know they're there, I now can talk to them. When you actually remember that you know how to communicate with them, it's going to get a lot easier. Right now you're just in a space where you're doubting. you're afraid to communicate with them for some reason, or you're afraid that you don't know how to. So that little bit of blockage is what's keeping you from being able to hear the signals, the cues, whatever's going on there. And that this is another higher message from very high up. The Pleiadians are 7th, 8th, and 9th dimensional. And they're bringing that in, this Tangerine Dragon, to say absolute knowing, which comes from the first step of faith. Move into faith. Trust yourself. Trust that you can actually communicate with them. Trust and know that whatever decision you're making is the right one. And when you move into knowing, all that fear and worry falls away and you actually feel your vibration raise. And that's what's going to allow the ascension process to continue and to keep evolving you forward, where you actually feel the biological shifts of your light body starting to come through. And that is starting to happen. We have had in the last 2 weeks indicators that actual biological shifts on a cellular level are starting to happen for those that are ready for that light body merge. So beyond exciting, super amazing stuff that I'm always amazed by the increased but constant evolution of the information that I get. That has been this year the most new information. I know that I've said multiple times that if I had time to sit and write a book, it would be probably 200 pages long already, with how much has come, not just in the last 3 years, but this year alone is its own volume of incredible information for our ascension journey. And that's why I've created the Quantum Flight program. I've evolved the Eye of the Dragon and the Way of the Dragonheart into the Quantum Flight program that's starting January 25th. Because that level of information is like, it's for the now, it's readiness, it's staying up with all that's coming in and staying current with it, staying energetically in the way of moving forward with it, so that we're constantly in the process. We're not behind, we're not ahead, we are right on it, riding that wave in, and that's the level of information coming. So I think it would be great to have a book, but I feel like it would also be something that is too timely. Like, keep doing videos, keep doing programs, keep doing classes, that it's got to touch more people faster. And so that's why I've created the whole Quantum Flight program, to have up to 20. I thought it was going to be 22. I actually got an indicator that it needs to be bandwidths of 8 for the new. Everything with the dragons previously was 3s, but I was feeling the master numbers coming in. So I was actually shown, I don't know what time in the middle of the night, that it's up to 24. So it'll be 8, 16, or 24 moving in for that program, because of the dynamic shift, and the beauty about the 24. It also, that's why they're saying it's a corollary between the 3s and the 4s, that it holds both, so that the dragon energy and the Lyran energy are both merged into that. So if you don't know about the program yet, or you want information, email me, araya@dragonwithin.com. I'll get you a link to the application process. And then we go from there. I've got interviews all this week with people that have sent their applications in, so I'm really excited. I think there's already 4 spots taken, and we just announced the program last week. So don't delay if you're feeling it. It's definitely a heart impulse. I worked with the surgeon this morning for that electrical current to go out along the heart lines to those that are meant to be in it, that need the information right now. So know that if you're feeling any kind of a pull towards it, there's got to be a bigger reason. So pay attention to it and at least take the first step, because a lot of times even doing the application is a triggering thing for people to go through energetically, just to answer those questions and dive deeper within themselves about their connection with the dragons. So if you have questions, please send them. If you have questions about where you go next on your journey, sign up for a discovery call. Get on my booking calendar from the homepage of either of my sites, dragonwithin.com or invokehealing.com, and look for one of the free 20-minute calls. I've got slots every week, and it's an opportunity for us to connect and get you on where you need to go. Whether it's work with me or work on your own or whatever, it's about getting you where you need to go, and that's one of the things that I do as a service to help people figure it out. Because a lot of times you're like, I'm seeing all this stuff, but I really don't know which direction to take. So hopefully this was beneficial to you today. I love that the Tangerine Dragon is holding that presence around everybody that's on the call and catching it on the replay. That step into faith, which leads into that deeper knowing, is a critical part of our journey right now for the higher energies to keep coming in. So have a beautiful week. I'll see you next Tuesday. Big dragon hugs to everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.